you ever felt like your mind has a mind of its own? One moment, you're calm and focused, and the next, your thoughts spiral out of control, dragging you into worry, fear, or regret. It's almost like you're trapped inside your own head, right? This audiobook, How to Stop Being Controlled by Your Mind, reveals how to break that invisible chain. It teaches you how to stop overthinking, silence mental chaos, and finally take back control of your life, instead of being ruled by your thoughts. Because when you master your mind, you master everything. Stay tuned. This might just be the moment you stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and start becoming the master of them. Chapter 1. Recognize the voice controlling you. You are not your thoughts. You never were. But for most of your life, you've lived as if every thought that passes through your head is truth. Every anxious whisper, every self-criticism, every fearful prediction. You've obeyed them all, automatically, unconsciously, obediently. That ends today. This is the chapter where you stop being a servant to your mind, where you stop mistaking the noise in your head for your identity. Because the voice in your mind, the one that tells you you're not enough, the one that replays your past, the one that doubts your every move, is not you. It's a pattern, a program, a recording made from years of conditioning, experiences, and repeated reactions. You have a choice. You can keep believing that voice, or you can start observing it. That's the key. Observe the voice. Don't become it. Your thoughts are like waves. They rise, they crash, they fade. But you, the real you, are the ocean beneath them. The ocean doesn't chase the waves. It doesn't fight them. It doesn't try to stop them. It just stays still, deep, powerful, unmoved. When you recognize that, everything changes. Because the moment you observe a thought, you separate yourself from it. You create distance. You take your power back. You are not angry. You are noticing anger arise. You are not anxious. You are witnessing anxiety unfold. You are not lost. You are watching the mind wander. That's the power of awareness. That's the power of the mental observer. The mental observer is the quiet, stable part of you that sees everything. Thoughts, emotions, reactions, without judgment, without attachment. It's the part of you that can say, I'm feeling anger, instead of, I am angry. That single shift in language, from identification to observation, is the beginning of freedom. Because when you say, I am angry, you merge with the emotion. You become it. It consumes you. But when you say, I am noticing anger, you separate from it. You create space. You gain control. This is how mental mastery begins. Not with fighting your thoughts, but with seeing them clearly. Let's make it practical. You wake up and your first thought is, I don't feel like doing anything today. That's the voice, the lazy, conditioned voice of comfort. You have a choice. You can obey it, stay in bed, scroll your phone, and start your day in weakness. Or you can observe it. Notice the voice. Don't become it. Say to yourself, there's the thought again, the thought that wants to protect me from effort. When you observe it, you weaken it. When you believe it, you strengthen it. That's how most people live, strengthening their mental prison one thought at a time. They think, I can't do this. They think, they won't like me. They think, I always fail. And instead of observing those lies, they obey them. Your job, starting right now, is to stop obeying. Understand this truth. Your mind's first thought is not always your truth. It's your habit. Every time you've been criticized, your mind stored it. Every time you've been rejected, your mind remembered it. Every time you felt unsafe, your mind built a pattern to protect you. Now that protection has become your prison. The voice that says, don't speak up, was built to avoid embarrassment. The voice that says, "Don't try again," was built to avoid failure. The voice that says, "Stay small," was built to avoid pain. It's not trying to hurt you, it's trying to keep you comfortable. But comfort is the enemy of growth. You have a choice. You can keep following the voice that keeps you small, or you can start following the one that makes you strong. That's the key. Observe the voice. Don't become it. Let's talk about overreaction, because that's where most people lose control. Someone insults you. Immediately, your mind fires. Who do they think they are? You feel heat rise in your chest, tension in your jaw, the need to prove something. Pause. That's the voice. Not you, just the voice. The reactive mind trying to protect your ego. The strong person doesn't react. The strong person observes. They feel the emotion, see the thought, and stay still long enough to choose a response. That's power. Reacting is easy. Observing takes strength. But that's how you win, not by suppressing your emotion, but by mastering it. You have a choice. In every situation, you can live as the voice or live as the observer. One leads to chaos, the other leads to peace. When you start observing, your mind will resist. It will say, "This is pointless." It will say, "I've always been like this." It will say, "This won't change anything." That's just another layer of the voice. Fear, dressed as logic. Don't argue with it. Don't fight it. Just see it. That's enough. Because awareness dissolves illusion. When you shine light on darkness, it disappears by itself. The more you observe your thoughts, the weaker their control becomes. The more distance you create, the more peace you feel. At first, you'll catch yourself halfway through a reaction, then a few seconds earlier, then before it even starts. That's progress. That's mastery. You're not trying to eliminate thoughts, you're learning to own them. Remember this: your thoughts are not instructions. Your thoughts are suggestions. You don't need to obey every mental impulse that appears. You don't need to trust every narrative that your brain produces. You have a choice. You can pause. You can breathe. You can watch. That's how you take command. That's how you separate your mind from your identity. You don't silence your mind by force. You silence it by understanding it. You don't escape the mental noise. You rise above it. The real you, the calm observer behind the thoughts, has been there all along. You just forgot how to listen to it. When you live from that place of awareness, everything slows down. Decisions become clearer. Reactions become deliberate. You stop being dragged around by your emotions and start leading your life from stability and strength. That's the foundation of this entire book. Awareness before action, observation before reaction, control before chaos. The more you practice awareness, the more your mind becomes your servant, not your master. Because the truth is simple. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Control. Your mind loves control. It craves it. It feeds on it. It wants to control how people see you. It wants to control outcomes, emotions, and timing. It wants to control everything that was never yours to command in the first place. And that's why you suffer. Because the more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more powerless you feel. The tighter you grip, the more things slip through your fingers. Your mind convinces you it's in charge, but it's not. It's addicted to fear, to comfort, to control. That's the truth most people never face. Your mind doesn't want growth. It wants safety. It wants predictability. It wants to avoid pain, even if that means avoiding life itself. Here's the hard truth. You don't control the world. You control your reaction to it. That's the key. Every moment of your life will test that truth. You can't control traffic, you can't control criticism, you can't control rejection, but you can control your response. You can choose calm over chaos. You can choose patience over panic. You can choose strength over sensitivity. That's the difference between being ruled by your mind and mastering it. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic. Your mind started building stories. I'm going to be late. This always happens. People don't know how to drive. You felt irritation rise, tension in your chest, the urge to shout or complain. But traffic isn't the problem. Traffic doesn't create anger. Your reaction does. Because you want to control something that's never been under your control. You can't move the cars. You can't speed up time. But you can master your state. You can breathe. You can detach. You can remind yourself, I don't control the world. I control my reaction to it. That's power. That's emotional control in action. The illusion of control destroys peace. It makes you chase outcomes you can't command and people you can't fix. It convinces you that happiness depends on alignment with your expectations. But expectations are fragile. The world doesn't bend to them. People don't follow them. Life doesn't care about them. That's why the strongest people live by one rule. Release what you can't control and master what you can. You can't control someone else's opinion, but you can control your energy around it. You can't control the weather, but you can control your attitude when it rains. You can't control every door that closes, but you can control how long you stand there waiting for it to open again. You have a choice. Always. Your mind hates that truth because it threatens its illusion. The illusion that says, if I can just fix everything out there, I'll feel peace in here. But that's backward. Peace doesn't come from control. Peace comes from surrender. You want to control others because you can't control yourself. You want to control outcomes because you fear uncertainty. You want to control the future because you don't trust your ability to handle it. That's the pattern. That's the prison. And every time you react, every time you chase control, you reinforce your weakness. You have a choice. You can spend your life trying to bend the world to your will, or you can build the strength to stay calm no matter how the world bends. That's the real power. Let's talk about rejection. Rejection triggers the illusion instantly. Your mind says, I need to fix this. I need to make them like me. I need to change the outcome. But that's not strength. That's attachment. And attachment is just control in disguise. The person who is truly in control doesn't beg for validation. They don't chase what's lost. They don't try to force what's not meant for them. They observe, accept, adjust. They remind themselves, I don't control the world. I control my reaction to it. You don't need their permission to move on. You don't need their approval to be at peace. You only need self-command, the ability to hold yourself steady when everything around you shakes. That's emotional mastery. That's the discipline of control. Every reaction reveals your level of mastery. When someone disrespects you, what happens? Do you react instantly, defending your ego? Or do you pause, breathe, and decide whether the response serves your peace? When plans fall apart, do you spiral in frustration? Or do you adapt and find strength in flexibility? When life doesn't go your way, do you collapse? Or do you remind yourself, it's not about perfection, it's about discipline. Discipline of reaction, discipline of mind, discipline of control. That's what separates the strong from the scattered. Here's the exercise, and it's simple but not easy. For one day, observe how many times you try to control what's outside of you. Notice how often your mind demands that people act your way, that events unfold your way, that life cooperate with your plan. Then catch yourself. Pause. Breathe. Say it out loud if you have to. I don't control the world. I control my reaction to it. Do this often enough, and something incredible happens. Your reactions slow down. Your emotions stop ruling you. You stop being a puppet of circumstance because you've shifted from control to command. Control is external. Command is internal. Control says, I need to change them. Command says, I'll master myself. Control is fear. Command is power. That's the transformation. You go from chasing control to embodying calm, from manipulating outcomes to mastering emotions. When you stop needing control, you gain influence. When you stop needing things to go your way, they often do, because you're no longer desperate, you're centered. And people feel that energy. That's leadership. That's quiet dominance. The world will keep testing you. It will put delays in your path, critics in your ear, and failures in your story. You can't stop that, but you don't need to. Your job isn't to control the storm. Your job is to stay grounded while it passes. You don't control the world. You control your reaction to it. That's the mantra. That's the practice. That's the discipline. Every time life pushes you, respond with calm. Every time fear whispers, answer with clarity. Every time your mind tries to grab control, remind it who's really in charge. You. That's how you win. That's how you break the illusion. You can't control the traffic. You can't control the rejection. You can't control the world. But you can control your breathing. You can control your focus. You can control your reaction. That's where peace begins. That's where power begins. The illusion of control ends when you stop fighting the world and start leading yourself. Chapter 3. Detach from the emotional storm. Emotions are not the enemy. They are energy. Raw, powerful, unpredictable energy. They rise, they peak, they fade. But most people don't let them fade. They grab them, they hold them, they feed them, and then they wonder why they live in constant chaos. You've done it. We've all done it. You feel anger, and instead of watching it, you become it. You feel fear, and instead of observing it, you feed it. You feel sadness, and instead of letting it move through you, you drown in it. That's the trap. That's how your emotions end up running your life. You think you're reacting to reality. You're not. You're reacting to your own emotional storm. The truth is simple. Emotions are temporary. They have no permanence, no loyalty, no truth. They are signals, not commands. You are supposed to feel them, not worship them. You have a choice. You can feed the storm, or you can watch it pass. That's the key. Every emotional storm begins with a spark. Someone says something. Something doesn't go your way. You feel ignored, disrespected, rejected. In that split second, your body floods with energy, the ancient survival system that once kept humans alive. But you're not fighting for survival anymore. You're fighting your own mind. That's why you must learn to detach. The 5-second rule of detachment is your tool. It's how you regain control when emotions try to take over. 5 seconds. That's all it takes to shift from reaction to awareness. Here's how it works. Step 1. Pause. Step 2. Breathe. Step 3. Label the emotion. Step 4. Watch it. Don't fight it. Step 5. Act with intention, not reaction. Simple, but not easy. Let's break it down. Step 1. Pause. The pause is your weapon. It's the space between impulse and control. Most people never find that space. They react instantly. Words fly, actions follow, regret arrives. You have to interrupt that pattern. When emotion rises, say to yourself, pause. Just one word, it's enough to slow the mind. Because emotion needs movement. It feeds on speed. When you pause, you break the rhythm of the storm. You take your power back. Step 2. Breathe. Your breath is the remote control of your nervous system. When emotion hits, your body tightens, your breathing shortens, your heart rate spikes. That's biology. But you can command biology. Take one deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow, controlled. Do it again. With every breath, the storm loses power, because breathing grounds you in the present. You can't breathe deeply and stay angry. You can't breathe slowly and stay anxious. Your mind calms when your body calms. That's the connection. Step 3. Label the emotion. Say it out loud if you must. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling sadness. Labeling creates distance. It tells your brain, this is an experience, not an identity. You're not saying, I am angry. You're saying, I am noticing anger. That one word, noticing, changes everything. It moves you from the storm to the shore, from chaos to clarity. Don't underestimate it. Naming your emotion weakens it, because the moment you name the storm, you're no longer trapped inside it. Step 4. Watch it. Don't fight it. You can't outshout a storm. You can't outthink emotion. You can only outlast it. The more you resist, the stronger it gets. The more you watch, the faster it fades. Sit still. Observe what's happening inside you. Feel the energy move. Don't analyze, don't explain, don't justify. Just watch. Say it. I'm watching anger. I'm watching fear. I'm watching disappointment. You'll notice something powerful. Emotion runs out of fuel when you stop feeding it. That's why we say it over and over. Don't feed the storm. Watch it pass. Step 5. Act with intention, not reaction. Once the emotion weakens, you decide, consciously, what comes next. That's your moment of power. Ask yourself, what serves me here? What aligns with who I want to be? Maybe it's silence instead of argument. Maybe it's patience instead of control. Maybe it's walking away instead of proving a point. You have a choice, always. That's where transformation happens. When emotion no longer dictates your actions, discipline takes over. It's not about suppression. It's about control. It's not about denying emotion. It's about mastering response. That's mental toughness. That's emotional power. Picture it like this. Your mind is the sky. Emotions are clouds, sometimes light, sometimes dark, sometimes violent. But no matter how heavy the storm gets, the sky remains untouched. You are the sky. The emotions are weather. They pass. They always pass. The problem isn't the storm. The problem is your attachment to it. You think the storm defines you, but it doesn't. It's just visiting. You have a choice. You can be the cloud or the sky. One gets lost. The other remains free. Think of the last argument you had, the one that escalated fast. If you had paused, if you had breathed, if you had labeled the emotion, you would have seen it for what it was, temporary energy looking for fuel. But you fed it. You gave it words, attention, and time. And that's how a 5-minute emotion became a 5-hour problem. That's how people ruin relationships, sabotage goals, destroy peace. Not because of the storm, but because they feed it. Don't feed the storm. Watch it pass. That's the mantra. That's the discipline. Emotional detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It's not indifference, it's intelligence. It means you feel everything, but attached to nothing. It means you can stand in the fire and not be burned by it. It means you live with awareness, not reaction. You don't need to stop feeling. You need to stop clinging. You don't need to stop emotions. You need to stop obeying them. That's strength. That's freedom. Here's your practice. Every time you feel emotion rising, use the 5-second rule. Pause, breathe, label, watch, act. Say to yourself, this is energy, it's not truth. This is a wave, it will pass. I don't need to feed it, I only need to see it. Do this every day until it becomes instinct. Because mastery isn't built in calm moments, it's built in storms. Every time you hold your reaction, you train your strength. Every time you let go, you grow. That's how you become unshakable. Remember this forever. The storm is not your enemy. The storm is your teacher. It's there to show you where you still lose control. Observe it. Learn from it. Rise above it. You have a choice. You can live as the emotion, or you can live as the awareness behind it. One leads to chaos. The other leads to peace. Chapter 4. The Trap of Overthinking. Overthinking is mental noise disguised as intelligence. It feels like control. It feels like preparation. It feels like progress. But it's not. It's paralysis. It's self-sabotage in disguise. It's fear wearing a suit, pretending to be reason. You know it well. You replay conversations. You analyze choices. You obsess over what might go wrong. You spend hours thinking, but nothing changes. You call it being careful, but it's really being afraid. Overthinking doesn't solve problems. It multiplies them. It doesn't create clarity. It clouds it. It doesn't move you forward. It keeps you stuck. You have to understand this. Your mind loves the illusion of control. It thinks if it can just think more, it can eliminate all uncertainty. But that's the trap. The more you think, the more fear grows. The more you act, the more fear fades. Overthinking is a comfort mechanism. It keeps you safe from failure by keeping you from action. It's mental procrastination. You don't avoid action because you don't know what to do. You avoid it because action means risk, and risk means you could lose. You could fail. You could be rejected. So your mind creates a false safety, the loop of endless thought. You say, I'll decide soon. You say, I need more time. You say, I'm just being logical. But logic without movement is nothing. Thinking without action is self-deception. You have a choice. You can stay trapped in the loop, or you can break it with movement. Here's the truth. You will never think your way into courage. You will never think your way into clarity. You act your way into both. Action is what kills fear. Action is what sharpens thought. Action is what builds momentum. But your mind resists it because action removes its control. The moment you move, your mind has to face reality. It can't hide in what if anymore. That's why you must train yourself to think less and act more. Think once, act twice. Repeat that to yourself. Think once, act twice. That's your new mantra. That's your way out of the trap. Let's break it down. Step 1. Think once. Thinking has a purpose, to create direction. You don't abandon thinking, you just limit it. Set a mental boundary. When faced with a decision, give yourself a deadline. 5 minutes, 5 hours, 5 days. Whatever fits the scale. When the time is up, decide. Move. You'll be shocked how quickly you actually know what to do when you stop overanalyzing. Your first instinct is usually the right one. Overthinking only erodes that instinct with doubt. You don't need perfect information. You need decisive movement. That's what leaders do. That's what disciplined minds do. Step 2. Act twice. Why twice? Because repetition builds confidence. You can't just act once and retreat back into analysis. You act, then act again, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. That's how you rewire your mind. Every action weakens fear. Every repetition builds courage. You don't need to know everything before you start. You need to start before you know everything. Think once, act twice. That's the discipline. Let's make this real. You're in a relationship, and something feels off. Instead of talking about it, you replay scenarios in your head. You analyze their tone, their texts, their silence. You turn into a detective in your own life. But all that thinking changes nothing. One honest conversation, one act, brings more clarity than 1,000 thoughts. Don't think yourself deeper into confusion. Speak, move, act. That's how you regain control. Now think about your career. You want to start a new project, maybe a business, maybe a new path. But instead of building, you think. You watch videos, you make lists, you compare yourself to others. You wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. There's only now. Overthinking destroys more dreams than failure ever will. Because failure at least moves you forward. Overthinking keeps you trapped in neutral. You don't need another plan. You need a first step. Take it. Adjust later. You don't grow from thinking. You grow from doing. And then there are daily decisions, the small ones that pile up. You overthink what to say, what to post, what to wear, what people might think. All that noise drains your energy before you even start your day. You can't live free if you're addicted to approval. You don't need their permission. You need discipline. Make a decision. Stand on it. Move on. That's how strong minds operate. The more you practice, the faster your clarity becomes. Because clarity isn't a gift. It's a muscle. And the only way to build it is through decisive action. Understand this. Overthinking is just fear trying to sound smart. It hides behind logic, but it's driven by anxiety. It whispers, "You're not ready. You'll fail. You'll regret it." But you won't. You'll only regret staying stuck. You have a choice. You can be controlled by hesitation, or you can move through it. You can be a thinker or a doer. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. You don't need more certainty. You need more courage. That's the shift. Here's your practice. When you catch yourself overthinking, pause. Say out loud, think once, act twice. If it's a small decision, count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move. If it's a big decision, set your time limit. Decide by the deadline. No excuses, no second guessing. You'll feel discomfort. That's good. That's the feeling of your old habits dying. That's the signal of growth. Every time you act, your confidence grows. Every time you hesitate, it weakens. Discipline is built in the moments you want to overthink, but move anyway. That's how you build mental toughness. That's how you become unstoppable. Remember this. You'll never eliminate uncertainty. You'll never have all the answers, and that's okay. Because life isn't meant to be figured out. It's meant to be lived. Stop searching for perfect answers. Start creating them through action. Stop overthinking your next move. Make it. Learn. Adjust. Repeat. That's how real progress happens. That's how warriors think. That's how disciplined minds grow. Think once. Act twice. That's your mantra. That's your key. Overthinking keeps you stuck in thought. Action moves you into reality. And reality is where strength is built. Chapter 5. Master the Inner Dialogue. The tone of your inner voice becomes the tone of your entire life. You already know this because you've lived it. When your inner voice is critical, life feels heavy. When it's chaotic, life feels unstable. When it's weak, life feels overwhelming. Your life reflects your language, not the language you speak out loud, the language you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. If that voice is harsh, fearful, and full of doubt, your actions will follow. Because thought becomes behavior, and behavior becomes identity. You don't become what you want. You become what you say to yourself over and over again. That's the truth most people never face. You've been programmed. By parents who meant well but projected fear. By teachers who measured your worth with grades. By a culture that rewards appearance over depth, comfort over growth. And without even knowing it, you absorbed that language. You made it yours. Now it's the background noise of your life. Every time you hesitate, every time you criticize yourself, every time you replay a mistake, that's the programming speaking. That's not you. That's your conditioning. And here's the thing. You can't silence that voice with more thinking. You have to replace it. You have to build a new language. You have to train your mind to speak strength, not weakness. You have to command your mind. Don't negotiate with it. Your inner dialogue determines your direction. Most people use their mind like a bully. They talk themselves out of growth before they even start. They tell themselves, I can't. I'm not ready. It's too late. What if I fail? Those phrases are poison. They don't protect you. They paralyze you. They keep you small. They keep you obedient to your own fear. You need to recognize those phrases as commands, because that's what they are. When you say, I can't, your mind obeys. When you say, it's too late, your energy drops. When you say, I'll try, your discipline dies. The mind listens to its master. So if you feed it weakness, it will deliver weakness. If you feed it doubt, it will deliver delay. If you feed it fear, it will deliver failure. You have a choice. You can let your inner dialogue dictate your life, or you can rewrite the code. Let's start with this. Stop saying I can't. Replace it with I will. I can't handle this becomes I will handle this. I can't change becomes I will change. I can't stay disciplined becomes I will stay disciplined. Every time you say I will, you take back power from your mind. You remind it who's in command. Then stop saying, what if? What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if it doesn't work? Replace it with even if. Even if I fail, I'll learn. Even if they doubt me, I'll keep moving. Even if it's hard, I'll stay consistent. That shift from fear to resolve changes everything. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about comfort. It's about control. That's how disciplined people think. That's how strong minds operate. Here's a truth you must accept. You'll never rise above the language you use with yourself. If your inner dialogue is negative, you'll sabotage every opportunity before it even starts. If your inner dialogue is neutral, you'll live on autopilot, not failing, but never winning either. But if your inner dialogue is empowering, focused, relentless, you'll become unstoppable. So how do you train it? You practice. Every day, you correct your inner speech the same way you correct your posture. You catch it slipping, and you stand tall again. That's mental training. That's how you rewire the voice that controls your life. Start with mirror talk. Every morning, before the world gets to you, get to yourself. Stand in front of the mirror. Look yourself in the eye and speak the commands you want to live by. Say them out loud. Don't whisper, don't doubt. Command. Say, I lead my mind. I do what needs to be done. I don't wait for permission. I am disciplined. I act with purpose. I finish what I start. You may not believe it at first. That's okay. Your mind is conditioned to resist new language because your old one is familiar. But keep going. Repeat it daily. Say it when you don't feel like it. Say it when you're tired. Say it when your doubt is loud, because that's when it matters most. Every repetition builds a new pathway. Every command strengthens your control. Every declaration becomes a new identity. You are programming your mind, just like you were programmed as a child. But this time, you're in charge. You have to understand something powerful. Your mind doesn't care what's true. It only cares what's repeated. If you repeat weakness, it becomes truth. If you repeat power, it becomes truth. You decide which version becomes your reality. That's the key to transformation. That's how self-mastery works. You don't wait for confidence to show up. You build it through repetition. You don't wait for motivation. You command it through words and action. Command your mind. Don't negotiate with it. When your mind says, I'm tired, you say, we move anyway. When it says, I don't feel ready, you say, do it now. When it says, this is too much, you say, good. That's how growth feels. You don't need to argue with the voice. You just need to lead it. Here's what happens when you master your inner dialogue. You stop reacting emotionally to everything. You stop seeking validation. You stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You become your own authority. You become the voice of direction in your life. Because now, instead of being controlled by thoughts, you command them. You've taken the driver's seat. You've silenced the noise. You've turned your inner voice into your weapon. That's real power. That's real freedom. Remember this phrase and live by it. Command your mind, don't negotiate with it. Say it when you're tempted to procrastinate. Say it when you're afraid to speak up. Say it when you want to quit. You don't need to feel ready. You need to be in command. That's what discipline is, the ability to lead yourself when your feelings rebel. It's not about being fearless. It's about being firm. It's not about confidence. It's about control. You have a choice. You can live as the victim of your thoughts, or you can rise as the commander of your mind. One voice leads to chaos. The other leads to peace. Choose peace. Choose power. Choose command. Chapter 6. Stop identifying with pain. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Say that again. You are not what happened to you. Because right now, your mind doesn't believe that. Your mind loves pain. It feeds on it. It stores it. It replays it. Not to help you heal, but to keep you trapped. That's the uncomfortable truth. Pain gives the mind identity. It gives it a story. And stories are powerful, even the ones that hurt. Your mind would rather cling to a painful identity than face the silence of rebuilding a new one, because pain is familiar. And the familiar feels safe, even when it's killing you. You keep saying you want to move on, but you still replay the memories. You still rehearse the betrayals. You still identify with the wounds. Every time you say, I was abandoned, I was betrayed, I was hurt, you're keeping that pain alive. You're not describing your past. You're reinforcing your identity. You are not your pain. You are not your story. You are the awareness that can choose a new one. Let's be clear. This isn't about pretending it didn't happen. This isn't about denial. This is about power. Because the moment you stop identifying with pain, you reclaim control. You stop being the victim of your past and start becoming the architect of your future. Most people don't heal. They perform their wounds. They talk about them, post about them, wear them like badges. They make pain their personality, and the world rewards it. You get sympathy, you get attention, you get validation, but you don't get freedom. You can't heal in the same environment that keeps rewarding your suffering. You have to step out of that loop. You have to stop feeding the story. You have a choice. You can keep reliving it, or you can release it. That's what true strength looks like. Here's something you need to understand. Pain isn't permanent. Attachment is. Pain fades, but your attachment to the story keeps it alive. Every time you replay it, you reopen the wound. Every time you talk about it, you relive it. The mind keeps looping pain because it craves certainty, even if that certainty is misery. It would rather be consistently hurt than unpredictably free. You have to break that pattern, and you break it through silence, not repetition. Healing begins when you stop explaining your pain to everyone, when you stop needing others to understand it, when you stop turning wounds into conversation. Because talking isn't always healing. Sometimes talking is reliving, and the more you relive it, the deeper it roots into your identity. Real healing happens in stillness, in the moments when you stop performing the pain and start facing it quietly. That's where transformation begins. Let me give you a real-world example. A man loses his job. He feels humiliated. He tells everyone about it, how unfair it was, how much he sacrificed. Every conversation becomes a rerun of the same story. Months pass. He still talks about it. He says he's processing, but he's really preserving. One day, he decides to stop telling the story. He stops explaining himself. He sits in silence, feels the pain, and lets it pass through him. Within weeks, he begins rebuilding. Not from anger, but from clarity. He starts a new project, learns new skills, and never once uses that old story as an excuse again. That's the difference between carrying pain and being controlled by it. You don't need to erase your story. You just need to stop identifying with it. Here's another truth. Your pain can be your teacher, but not your identity. You can learn from it. You can build from it, but you can't live inside it. You can't keep using it as the reason you don't grow. Because the moment pain becomes your justification, you lose your power. You start saying things like, I can't trust anyone, I can't change, I can't start over. You start living by limits that were never real, just reactions that hardened over time. You don't need to erase the past to move on from it. You just need to stop worshiping it. The past is not sacred. It's finished. It has nothing left to teach you once you've taken the lesson. Take the lesson. Leave the pain. That's the discipline. Here's what I want you to practice. When your mind brings up the past, stop. Don't fight it. Don't feed it. Just observe it. Say to yourself, that's the old story. That's all you need to say. Not, I can't believe that happened. Not, why did they do this to me? Just, that's the old story. Every time you say it, you weaken the attachment. Every time you detach, you regain control. Because you are not your story. You are the awareness beyond your story. And from that awareness, you can build something new. You have a choice. Keep reacting from pain or start creating from peace. That's the power you've always had. Look around you. The strongest people you know aren't the ones who've avoided pain. They're the ones who've stopped identifying with it. They've taken betrayal and turned it into wisdom. They've taken rejection and turned it into drive. They've taken heartbreak and turned it into strength. They didn't erase the past. They just refuse to become prisoners of it. And so can you, because freedom doesn't come from forgetting. It comes from refusing to be defined by what broke you. It's not about erasing pain. It's about mastering peace. You are not your wounds. You are the one who heals them. You are not your scars. You are the one who survived them. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become. Choose to become strong. Choose to become still. Choose to become free. Chapter 7. Discipline your focus. Where focus goes, life flows. Say it again. Where focus goes, life flows. Your life is not shaped by your intentions. It's shaped by your attention. Most people think they have a motivation problem. They don't. They have a focus problem. You're not lazy. You're distracted. You're not unmotivated. You're unfocused. The undisciplined mind magnifies distractions and minimizes direction. It makes the small things look urgent and the big things look impossible. That's why you feel busy but never productive. That's why your energy feels scattered. That's why your peace feels temporary. It's not about doing more. It's about directing more. Where focus goes, life flows. Every day, your mind wakes up like a wild horse. It runs toward notifications, opinions, problems, comparisons. It reacts before it reflects. And every time you pick up your phone, first thing in the morning, you're giving your focus away. You're training your mind to chase, not create. You're starting the day in reaction, not direction. You have to break that pattern. You have to discipline your focus like an athlete disciplines their body. Because focus is a muscle. It gets stronger with use, weaker with neglect. You have a choice, to train it or to lose it. Let's talk about environment first. You cannot master your focus in a chaotic environment. Your environment is either a system that supports your focus or a trap that destroys it. If your phone is next to you, unlocked, full of notifications, you've already lost. If your workspace is cluttered, your mind will be cluttered. If your mornings are noisy, your thoughts will be noisy. So, control your environment. That's step 1. Silence the noise. Clean your space. Remove the distractions before they remove your potential. You don't need willpower when you have structure. That's the secret. Make distraction difficult. Make focus easy. That's how discipline works. Now, let's talk about mental clutter. Your mind is like a desktop. Too many tabs open. Too many programs running. You can't expect clarity when you're juggling chaos. You need to clear the screen. You need mental order. Here's how you start. Every morning, write down 3 things that actually matter. Not 30, 3. 1 personal, 1 professional, 1 internal. That's it. Then commit to them with ruthless focus. Because focus is not about doing everything. It's about doing the right thing, fully. That's the discipline most people lack. They chase momentum instead of mastery. They multitask, thinking it's productive. It's not. Multitasking is just glorified distraction. When you multitask, you're not dividing your time, you're dividing your attention. And divided attention is diluted power. Focus is energy. Scattered focus is wasted energy. You have a choice. 1 task at 100% or 5 tasks at 20%. You already know which one moves the needle. Let's get tactical. Here are 3 real-world exercises to discipline your focus. Exercise 1, phone discipline. Before you touch your phone in the morning, touch your purpose. Don't scroll, don't check, don't consume. Create, reflect, breathe. Give your first hour to yourself, not the world. That's sacred time. Guard it. Your phone is not evil. Your habits are. Use your phone as a tool, not a leash. Exercise 2, morning silence. 10 minutes, every morning. No music, no talking, no screens. Just sit, just breathe, just observe. At first, it'll feel uncomfortable, like withdrawal, because your mind is addicted to noise. But silence is where clarity lives. It's where your real focus begins. And exercise 3, single task execution. Pick one task, set a timer for 25 minutes. Do nothing else. No notifications, no tabs, no switching, just one thing. When the timer goes off, stop, breathe, reset, then start another 25-minute block. That's how you train your brain to lock in. That's how you rewire your attention span, because the mind obeys repetition. It follows patterns, and repetition of focus creates discipline of thought. That's the foundation of all success. Let's talk about energy. Focus is not just mental, it's energetic. You can't focus if your energy is leaking everywhere. Ask yourself, who drains me? What drains me? Then cut it. Stop giving attention to gossip, negativity, and meaningless drama. Every time you engage, you're feeding distraction. You're strengthening the wrong muscle. It's not about being rude. It's about being ruthless with your energy. You don't owe everyone access to your mind. Remember this. Not every thought deserves your attention, and not every person deserves your response. That's focus discipline. When someone tries to pull you into nonsense, say it internally. I don't feed distractions, because that's exactly what they are. Mental junk food. You are what you consume, and your focus is the diet of your mind. Feed it noise, it weakens. Feed it silence, it sharpens. That's the truth. Here's another perspective. Your focus determines your future. Not your dreams, not your desires, not your emotions. Your focus. What you give consistent attention to grows. What you neglect withers. So if your focus is on problems, you'll multiply problems. If your focus is on possibilities, you'll multiply solutions. It's that simple, and it's that hard. You have to train your focus to rise above emotion, to stay fixed when fear whispers, to stay locked when doubt screams. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who almost did. Not talent, not luck, focus. You can't chase two targets and expect to hit either. Choose your direction, then give it everything. That's discipline. That's power. Let me tell you this. Focus is not natural anymore. The modern world is built to break it. Everything around you is designed to hijack your attention. Your mind is the battlefield. Every notification, every headline, every app, fighting for your focus. You can't win this war casually. You win it deliberately, through boundaries, through systems, through silence. You win it by deciding, my focus is mine. You have a choice, to let the world program your attention or to program it yourself. And once you claim it back, your entire life shifts. Because when your focus is disciplined, your actions are precise. When your actions are precise, your progress is inevitable. And when your progress is inevitable, your confidence becomes unshakable. That's the chain reaction of focus. So ask yourself, what are you feeding with your focus? What are you watering with your attention? Because everything you focus on grows, even your problems. If you focus on what you can't control, you'll multiply frustration. If you focus on what you can control, you'll multiply power. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. Now it's time to act. Start tomorrow with silence. Start today by removing one distraction. Start now by protecting your focus like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You just need focus, disciplined, trained, and deliberate. Because where focus goes, life flows. And when your life flows, everything else follows. Chapter 8. Emotional neutrality is power. Power isn't loud. Power isn't angry. Power isn't emotional. True power is calm. True power is still. True power is controlled. You've been told that emotion is strength, that passion is power. But uncontrolled emotion is weakness. Because when you're emotional, you're predictable. And when you're predictable, you're powerless. The strongest person in the room is not the loudest. It's the one who can stand still when everyone else reacts. That's emotional neutrality. That's real control. You have to learn this truth. Feel everything. Attach to nothing. That's the mantra. Emotional neutrality is not numbness. It's not pretending you don't care. It's mastering your internal state so deeply that nothing external can hijack your peace. It means you still feel anger, but you don't become anger. You still feel fear, but you don't act from fear. You still feel pain, but you don't let it turn you bitter. You don't suppress emotions. You observe them. You don't fight emotions. You filter them. That's the difference between amateurs and masters. The amateur reacts. The master responds. And that's where your transformation begins. When you stop reacting to the world and start directing your mind. Think of a combat soldier. When chaos erupts, emotion kills clarity. If they panic, they die. So what do they train for? Neutrality under pressure. They move slow, breathe deep, see everything. They feel adrenaline, but they don't let it take control. They act on training, not emotion. Because emotion clouds precision. Emotion clouds timing. Emotion clouds logic. That's not cold. That's controlled. You can apply the same principle to your life. In traffic, at work, in arguments. When your partner says something that triggers you, pause, feel it, don't feed it, observe it, don't obey it. That's how you win the internal war. Let's make it clear. Neutrality is not apathy. Apathy is disconnection. Neutrality is discipline. Apathetic people don't care. Neutral people care deeply. They just don't crumble under care. You can love someone without losing yourself. You can care about outcomes without attaching your identity to them. That's emotional intelligence. That's what separates peace from chaos. You have a choice in every moment, to be consumed by emotion or to channel it, to be reactive or to be responsive, to be emotional or to be effective. Let's talk about negotiation. In negotiation, whoever stays calm longest wins, because emotion exposes desperation. Emotion tells the other side what to say, what to do, and how to control you. You lose power the moment you show need. You lose leverage the moment you lose composure. But when you're neutral, when your face is calm, your tone steady, your breathing measured, you make others nervous. You make them question themselves. You take control of the frame. That's power. And the same principle applies in every human interaction. The person who stays emotionally grounded controls the energy of the room. That's why emotional neutrality isn't weakness, it's dominance. Now let's talk relationships. How many arguments have you had that escalated only because you matched the other person's energy? They got loud, you got louder. They got emotional, you got reactive. And then you wonder why nothing changes. Because emotion feeds emotion. Fire feeds fire. No one wins. Everyone burns. Here's the truth. You can't argue with someone who's calm. You can't manipulate someone who's steady. You can't control someone who's neutral. That's why neutrality disarms chaos. Next time you feel triggered, breathe. Give yourself 5 seconds before responding. Those 5 seconds separate warriors from reactors. Say it to yourself. Feel everything. Attach to nothing. Because emotions are just weather, and you're the sky. Storms come and go, but the sky remains. That's neutrality. That's strength. Most people attach their peace to conditions. They say, I'll be calm when things go my way. I'll be centered when people respect me. I'll be happy when life settles down. That's not control. That's dependency. And dependency always leads to weakness. Real control is internal. It doesn't depend on circumstances. It doesn't depend on other people. It's not about what happens. It's about how you handle it. You don't control the world. You control your reaction to it. That's the ultimate freedom. When you stop letting your emotions dictate your actions, you take your power back. That's the shift. That's the breakthrough. Let's make this practical. Here's how you start developing emotional neutrality. Step 1. Label the emotion. The moment you feel it rise, anger, jealousy, frustration, say it in your mind. This is anger. This is fear. Labeling creates separation. It reminds you that you are not the emotion. You are the observer. Step 2. Breathe. 3 deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Physiology controls psychology. Calm your body, and your mind follows. Step 3. Delay reaction. Pause before you speak, before you text, before you move. Neutrality lives in the space between stimulus and response. That pause is your power. Step 4. Reframe. Ask yourself, what's the lesson here? What's this emotion trying to teach me? Every emotion has data, but only if you're calm enough to hear it. And step 5. Detach. Don't hold the emotion. Don't replay it. Let it move through you. Feel everything. Attach to nothing. That's the practice. Let's revisit the mantra again, because repetition builds mastery. Feel everything. Attach to nothing. When you feel sadness, feel it fully, but don't drown in it. When you feel anger, channel it, don't spread it. When you feel fear, use it as a signal, not a sentence. Emotion is energy. You can use it to destroy, or you can use it to drive. The choice is always yours. You have a choice every single moment to lead with emotion or to lead with discipline. And when you choose discipline, emotion becomes your ally, not your enemy. That's the real shift. Emotional neutrality is not robotic. It's regal. It's what leaders practice. It's what warriors master. It's what the wise embody. Because neutrality lets you operate from logic, not chaos. It lets you see the full picture. It lets you make decisions that build, not decisions that burn. When you can stand still in the middle of a storm, you've already won. Because storms end, but discipline endures. That's the real power. You don't need to chase emotional highs. You don't need to fear emotional lows. All you need is the calm center in between, the quiet strength of neutrality. That's where clarity lives. That's where leadership lives. That's where peace lives. Remember this. Feel everything. Attach to nothing. You are the observer, not the emotion. You are the calm, not the storm. And when you master that, no one can take your peace from you because you own it. Chapter 9. The Observer Mind. Living above thought. There's a higher state of mind most people never reach, not because it's difficult, but because it's quiet. The mind loves noise. It loves problems, stories, reactions, comparisons. It feeds on thought like fire feeds on oxygen. But there's something above thought, a space beyond the noise. That space is you. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that sees them. That's the truth most people never realize. They think they are their mind. You are not the voice in your head, yo. They think every thought is truth. Every fear is fact. Every emotion is identity. It's not. You are the one listening to it. That's the beginning of freedom. That's the beginning of peace. You have to learn to live above thought, to shift from participant to observer, from noise to awareness. That's the watcher state. Say it with me. I am awareness. My mind is the tool. That's the mantra. That's the power. Let's break this down. Your thoughts are not personal. They're patterns, echoes of repetition, memory, and emotion. They're habits of the mind, not reflections of the self. Think about it. You've had thoughts you didn't choose. You've had thoughts that scared you, that shamed you, that didn't even make sense. If you were your thoughts, you'd be constantly changing identities. You'd be whoever your mind decided you were that day. That's chaos. But when you step back and observe your thoughts instead of obeying them, everything changes. You create distance. You create space. And in that space, you find power. That space is the observer mind, the watcher state. It's the state where you stop reacting and start witnessing. You have a choice, to live in the storm of your thoughts or above the storm in stillness. Here's the mistake most people make. They try to fight their mind. They try to silence thoughts through force. They try to stop thinking. You can't stop thought. You outgrow it by watching it. When you stop engaging with every thought, they lose their grip. The mind calms because it's no longer being fed. You've probably noticed this in meditation. The more you chase stillness, the louder your thoughts get. But the moment you stop chasing and just observe, the mind softens. That's the shift. That's what the observer mind does. It doesn't suppress thought. It transcends it. It says, there's the thought. There's the fear. There's the judgment. It doesn't say, this is me. You are the awareness behind thought, not the chaos within it. Let's make this practical. The observer mind can be trained. It's a discipline, not a mystery. And like every discipline, it begins small. You train it through awareness. You strengthen it through practice. Here are the 3 daily practices to build the watcher state. Practice 1. Micro pauses. Throughout your day, pause for 5 seconds before reacting. Before you answer a text. Before you respond to criticism. Before you make a decision. In that pause, notice what your mind is doing. What is it saying? What story is it trying to tell you? That's the mind talking. That's the voice, and you are the one watching it. When you practice this pause, you're no longer being controlled by automatic thought. You're stepping into conscious awareness. You're reclaiming choice. Practice 2. The breath anchor. Your breath is the bridge between mind and body. It's the reset button for awareness. Whenever you feel overwhelmed, bring your attention to your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Slow, deliberate, present. Each inhale reminds you that you're alive. Each exhale reminds you that you can let go. The breath doesn't live in the past or the future. It lives only in the now. And the now is where the observer mind lives. Practice 3. Meditation of observation. This isn't about clearing your mind. It's about watching it. Sit still, close your eyes, and watch. Notice the thoughts rise and fall. Label them gently. Planning, worrying, judging. No resistance, no engagement, just awareness. You'll see something miraculous happen. When you stop fighting thoughts, they dissolve on their own, because you're no longer giving them energy. That's the essence of living above thought. The observer mind doesn't just make you calm, it makes you powerful. Because when you're not reactive, you're deliberate. When you're not emotional, you're strategic. When you're not consumed by thought, you're free to choose. That's what emotional control really is, awareness in motion. Let's take a real-world example. Someone criticizes you. Your old self reacts, gets defensive, argues. The observer self pauses, watches the reaction rise, sees the ego wanting to defend. Then it asks, is this worth my energy? Is this a reflection of me or of them? That moment of separation, that single pause, is power. It's the difference between chaos and composure. You have that power every moment. You just forget to use it. That's why the mantra matters. You are awareness. Your mind is the tool. Understand this. The mind is meant to serve you, not enslave you. It's a tool for solving problems, creating, thinking, not suffering. But if you never step back, the tool becomes the master. And when the tool controls the craftsman, everything breaks. The mind is an incredible servant, but a terrible ruler. So you have to reclaim authority. You have to say, no more autopilot. From today forward, no thought gets to control your energy without your permission. You decide which thoughts get attention. You decide which emotions get fed. You decide which stories you believe. That's mental freedom. That's living above thought. Let's get deeper. The observer mind doesn't need to label everything as good or bad. It just sees. That's where peace comes from, non-judgmental awareness. When you stop labeling every experience as right or wrong, you stop suffering. The mind says this shouldn't have happened. The observer says it happened. And in that acceptance, peace begins. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Because resistance is suffering. Acceptance is power. When you live as the observer, you stop trying to control everything. You start understanding everything. That's awareness. The greatest transformation you can ever experience is realizing that you are not your mind. You are the one behind it, quiet, infinite, steady. Your awareness doesn't get angry, it doesn't get anxious, it doesn't get jealous. Those are movements within it, not it. The sky doesn't become the storm, it simply holds it. You are that sky. Your thoughts are the weather. And when you live like that, when you live above thought, you become unshakable. You become still in a world of noise. You become present in a world of panic. That's what mastery looks like. You can continue living as the voice in your head, or you can rise into the awareness that hears it. You can live trapped in thought, or you can live free in observation. It's not about suppressing your mind, it's about mastering it. That's the discipline. Say it again. You are awareness. Your mind is the tool. Feel that truth, because when you live from that place, nothing can shake you. Not fear, not judgment, not doubt. That's the watcher state. That's the observer mind. And that's where real peace begins. Chapter 10. Command yourself or be commanded. This is where everything you've learned comes together. This is the point of no return, because now you either command yourself or you get commanded. There's no middle ground. There's no neutral zone. There's no halfway between mastery and submission. Every day, you're either leading your mind or your mind is leading you. That's the truth. That's the final challenge. You have a choice, and that choice defines everything. The weak wait for motivation. The strong operate from command. They don't wait for clarity, they create it. They don't wait for confidence, they act into it. They don't wait for peace, they build it through discipline. Command is action before emotion. Command is leadership of the self. That's the key. You must lead you, because if you don't, something else will. Your impulses will. Your fears will. Your doubts will. Your laziness will. If you don't command your mind will command you. And when that happens, you'll spend your life reacting instead of creating. You'll follow thoughts that don't serve you, emotions that betray you, and habits that slowly erase you. Command is the cure. Think about what command really means. It's not shouting, it's not aggression. It's certainty. It's the inner authority that says, "This is what I do, regardless of how I feel." That's self-mastery. That's the ultimate freedom. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's not about opportunity. It's about discipline. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. It's not about how hard it is. It's about how committed you are. Every morning you wake up, your mind will test you. It will whisper, "Not today." It will tempt you to delay, to doubt, to drift. And that's the moment of truth. That's the battlefield. The question isn't whether you hear the voice. You will. The question is, who commands? Command yourself, and you move forward. Wait for permission, and you stay stuck. The mind loves comfort. It wants what's easy, what's safe, what's known. It wants to protect you, but protection isn't progress. That's why you must become the commander. Because comfort is the language of the mind, but discipline is the language of power. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen command. Every time you act without permission, you remind your mind who's in charge. That's the practice. That's the daily war. You don't win command once. You win it every day, through repetition, through structure, through unwavering follow-through. Because mastery isn't a moment, it's maintenance. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Your mind doesn't care about your goals. It cares about survival. It's wired to avoid pain, to seek pleasure, to conserve energy. That's biology, not destiny. Your job is to override that, to command yourself past the instincts, to rise above the excuses. When your mind says, "I don't feel like it," your command says, "Do it anyway." When your thoughts say, "I can't," your command says, "Watch me." When fear says, "Not yet," your command says, "Now." That's what leadership looks like. That's how transformation happens. You stop obeying emotion and start obeying direction. Let's get practical. How do you build command? How do you train yourself to lead instead of follow? 3 disciplines, 3 daily executions. Discipline 1, the immediate action rule. When a thought comes in, I should call, I should start, I should move, act immediately. Don't let it linger. Don't let it sit in mental negotiation. The longer you wait, the louder the resistance becomes. The mind feeds on delay. Move, act, execute. That's command in motion. Think once, act twice. That's how you rewire hesitation into decisiveness. Discipline 2, the non-negotiable standard. Set daily actions that are non-negotiable. Not when I feel like it. Not if I have time. You do it because it's the standard. You don't lower the standard to fit your emotions. You raise your emotions to meet your standard. This is how leaders think. This is how winners live. Because command doesn't come from talking. It comes from doing. It's not built in theory. It's built in practice. Discipline 3. The reflection of accountability. At the end of the day, face yourself. Ask the hard question: who commanded who today? Did I lead my mind, or did I obey it? Did I act from purpose, or react from feeling? That question will change your life if you ask it honestly. Because awareness creates accountability, and accountability creates command. That's the process. That's the path. Command is a decision you renew daily. When you wake up, decide, I'm in charge. When fear rises, decide, I'm in charge. When doubt whispers, decide, I'm in charge. And you prove it through action. Because that's how you show the mind who's boss. Not through thought, but through proof. Through the evidence of behavior. Every rep in the gym, every early morning, every disciplined choice. Each one is a declaration. I command myself. That's the foundation of power. That's the root of freedom. Let's talk about permission. Stop asking for it. Stop waiting for it. Stop needing it. You don't need permission to start. You don't need permission to speak. You don't need permission to change. The mind will always say, not yet. It will always look for safety. It will always want reassurance. Ignore it. Move anyway. Act anyway. Because action is the command. Action is the proof. You prove to your mind that you lead it by doing what it resists. That's the formula. When you do what you said you'd do, your mind learns to follow. And when your mind follows, your life transforms. That's the power of command. You have to understand, you are both the soldier and the general. You give the orders, and you execute them. That's mastery. No excuses, no negotiation, no rebellion from within. When the mind says later, you say now. When it says maybe, you say absolutely. When it says I can't, you say I will. That's the voice of command. That's the discipline of leadership. You have a choice, and it always comes down to this: lead your mind or be led by it. Command yourself or be commanded. Because if you don't command your mind will command you. Say it again. Say it until it's carved into your identity. If you don't command your mind will command you. That's not just a quote, it's a warning. Because most people live their whole lives under command of fear, impulse, and doubt. They mistake reaction for control. They confuse motion for progress. But not you, not anymore. You've learned awareness. You've learned discipline. You've learned command. Now it's time to live it. Daily, relentlessly, without compromise. You don't rise when it's easy. You rise when it's time. And it's always time. This is the final call. The call to lead yourself. The call to command your mind, your body, your emotions, your destiny. You don't need permission. You don't need validation. You need direction. Give it to yourself and obey it. Because in the end, mastery isn't about conquering the world. It's about conquering yourself. That's the ultimate power. That's the final discipline. Command yourself or be commanded. The choice, as always, is yours. You've taken control of your fear. You've mastered your focus. You've built awareness, neutrality, and command. Now you stand where most never arrive, at the edge of full self-mastery. But this isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because once you command yourself, you command your reality. And that's where your real life starts. So, the question isn't whether your mind controls you. It's whether you'll finally choose to take that control back. Your thoughts can be your greatest enemy or your strongest ally. The difference lies in awareness and discipline. If this message helped you see your mind a little clearer, don't let it stop here. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep practicing control, because real freedom begins in your head. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more book lessons that strengthen your mind and shape your life. Until next time, stay aware, stay calm, and never let your mind run the show.